Hi, I'm Lenny, and I participated in the collaborative research project Uncommon Futures. And today I'm sitting here in the forest to tell you a little bit about our methodology and how we try to, or no, how we used discourse analysis to answer our research question. And maybe first of all, for you, what is discourse analysis? Very briefly, it can be seen as a way to engage with and analyze the underlying assumptions, claims, voices, perspectives, and backgrounds that can be found in a discourse. And there is no one thing such as discourse analysis, but many. And we've oriented on Foucauldian discourse analysis that primarily focuses on power relations and language and the interplay between these things. And this Foucauldian perspective provided a really interesting approach or a research question, which you might remember, is how does the contemporary discourse of commoning articulate the power and responsibility of different actors for post-capitalist transformation? And still, we really needed to find our own way to apply discourse analysis to this discourse. So before even starting with the discourse analysis, we did a literature review, reading some seminal readings for getting a better overview of the discourse and also a first impression of the important terms, definitions, discussions, perspectives, and voices that can be found in the commoning discourse on post-capitalist transformation, or cannot be found in this discourse. So this then really helped us to select our texts, and we decided to use only an amount of 5 texts from the academic discourse, which you might say, of course, cannot be representative and comprehensive of the discourse, but does provide some first interesting insights. And then for starting with the discourse, with the analysis, we used MaxQDA as an coding software to systemically analyze our texts, and therefore we needed a joint framework for coding, and this we derived from our research question with the 4 main categories of actors, power, responsibility, and language. I will enlarge on this later. And we had a reciprocal approach of both predefining some codes, but also staying open to new upcoming emerging codes while getting to know the discourse better when already coding. So it was both inductive and deductive, and this really helped us to capture the diversity of our discourse. And as this is a collaborative research project, it needed a lot of space for communication and discussion to get all of us in the same boat. So we had 5 texts, and each of us analyzed one of these texts, but at the end they should come together to one analysis, to one discourse. So it was important that we had a similar or common understanding of what we mean with the codes, how we understand the actor categories, and all of these things. But talking about that helped a lot. And I'm telling you a little bit more about the code handbook that we created. And the first category that we have is the actors. So actors that are ascribed power or responsibility, blah blah blah. And at the beginning we had around 25 actors, with some head categories such as economic actors, state actors, and so on. And then later it became less, but I will tell you about that in some seconds. And then we had the second category of power, which was actors having power for post-capitalist transformation, actors not having power for post-capitalist transformation, or actors having power to disempower post-capitalist transformation, which is also interesting. And then the third category we had is responsibility. So what responsibility is ascribed to the actors by the discourse. And then finally, the language or linguistic devices that are used to describe and create the actors by the discourse. So how does the discourse talk about these actors? Yes, and therefore we used things such as what language is used, what are the connotations, what are the polarizations made up, the contrasts, and all of these things. And then you can find all of these codes in our coding handbook also on the page, so feel invited to have a look there. And then finally, after all this preparation, we could start with the actual process of coding. And we started with the first round of coding where we only coded all of the text we had with the actor categories. And then after doing this first round, we saw, okay, what actors do really occur in all of our texts? And then we reduced the actors to these main actors of the discourse and found 7 actors, which are the commons as an actor itself, because it's not just passively coming up, but also as an actor. Then communities, movements, citizens and individuals, economic actors, state actors, and the system. Yes, and there's some more things I want to tell. Let me have a look. I think then, yes, then we did a round of, where was I? Well, we did the coding then, and we did the coding, and I think it might be interesting to just have a look at the coding documents, because there you can have a better insight on how we actually did the coding, how we used the codes. Yes, and then we did a round of peer reviews. So each text that anybody of us coded was written by another, was read by another person, to have a control mechanism for quality and also similarity in how we understand the texts. And then after that, we were able to begin the analysis of the text that we coded. So everybody of us systematically worked out the patterns and claims and perspectives and actors they found in their texts. And then after that, we came together and compared these things and tried to identify patterns and contradictions that were across these texts, and were there, for example, some actors that were consistently prioritized over others, and all of these things. And the results you can find, I think, in the discussion part on our page. So maybe just have a look in that. And yes, there was a lot, and maybe enough for today. And to finish, let me maybe just say that you can also have a look in the whole page, of course, and especially in the limitations part when talking about methodology, because this is really interesting for having a critical engagement with how we use our method, and also how the use of our method, of course, influences the results that we may offer. Yes, so I hope that you learned a little bit or get some interesting insights about how we used discourse analysis. And if you want, we can have some more minutes of silence to listen to the birds. I hope you can hear them. Okay, bye.